So hey everyone, I'm Allie and this is my YouTube channel. I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for everybody else, but I didn't really have, I was into makeup and I was into story times, but I didn't really have a thing to be able to sit down and actually do. But true crime has been a thing that has become more popular on this platform, and I've been into true crime since I was a little kid, when it was weird. Lately I've kind of had a resurgence of that because of true crime podcasts and different channels. So I kind of asked around, and basically that means I put a poll on my Twitter and I said, okay, if I started a true crime channel, would anyone watch it? And a few people were like, hey, yeah, that'd be something that I'd be into. So here I am. After that long drawn introduction, I should probably give you some background as to who I am. My name's Allie. I'm 22 years old. I'm a senior in college. I live in Texas. I'm currently studying theater. I want to be a costume designer, but right now I'm kind of in that little midlife, quarter-life crisis thing where I kind of want to just change everything that I'm doing. And I'm post-grad, I'm going to graduate in May with my degree in theater, but then I'm going to declare right before I graduate a minor in art history and criminal justice, which I'm going to finish in a year post-grad. Yeah, let's get into the video. So I have a book, before I put the book down, I have a book called The Killer Book of Serial Killers that I got a long time ago. This book was published in 2009. So some of the information from this is still really great and still really useful, but some of it is also outdated. So I'll refer to this book occasionally, but most of my notes will be on my laptop. So if you see me kind of looking down and what is she doing, it's because I'm reading off my laptop. Sorry about it. I don't know what you want from me. I was gonna start off with, yeah, kind of a serial killer 101 type deal. Basically, a serial killer is defined as someone who has killed 3 or more people in a period of time. The only requirement is that there's a cooling off period in between killings. It's not as if this person goes on a killing spree for 10 days and just kills everybody. No, they kind of do one murder, then they kind of relax, and then they do another one, and they relax, and they do another one. That's how they sort of avoid getting caught. Or, sort of. It's one of those things where I love true crime, but I'm still learning through all this stuff. So definitely kind of as a disclaimer, if you have any other information pertaining to what I'm talking about in a video, or if you have any corrections, feel free to put them down below. Don't be a dick about it. The term serial killer refers to a murder of more than 3 people. Again, the period of time doesn't really matter as long as there's kind of a cooling off period in between the killings. They're different from mass murders in that mass murders kill 3 or more people, but at the same time. A school shooting would quantify as a mass murder. And I have had some discussions with people where they say, oh, that's mass murder. I thought a mass murder would be hundreds of thousands of people. No, it's a 3 or more people. 1 is too many. So don't bring that argument of oh, it's only 3. What do you mean that's not a lot? No, it's a ton of people. It's 3 whole people. 3 whole lives gone. So it's still a big deal. But yeah, serial killers are not the same as mass murders. A serial killer could be a mass murderer at one point in time. They could kill 3 people at once, but then they have to move on and kill there has to be a path of victims, you know? It can't just be all at once and then they're done. It has to be serial in a series. The term was coined in the 1970s by FBI investigator Robert Ressler, and he basically, I think it was the 60s and 70s, correct me if I'm wrong, and kind of convinced the FBI, hey, criminal profiling is a thing. This is kind of the profile of a serial killer. A serial killer is a person who kills multiple victims in whatever sequence they should so choose. And he basically kind of laid out the profile, which I will get into in a second. Oh yeah, serial killers don't usually kill people that they know. In a few cases, family members are killed, whereas, whether they're, the first couple of victims and then they go off to kill strangers, or if they're witnesses to a crime and then they have to kill them because they don't want to be found out. but usually these people are strangers. They don't typically try to kill a family just because one, I would think that they would just think that they would get caught, and two, the whole reason someone becomes a serial killer, which is basically my next topic, so I'll just like get into it. The whole reason someone becomes a serial killer is what psychologists believe is partly genetic. It's partly the makeup of your brain. It's whether or not you're a sociopath, a psychopath, basically anyone diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. It's partly genetic and partly the environment that you've grown up in. So if you had a really abusive family, if any of your family members emotionally abused you, physically abused you, sexually abused you, or any combination of the three, which is, it's most commonly a combination of three, and anything that makes the child feel powerless in the position that they're in. Because the psychology behind a serial killer is that the only reason they start to kill is to assert dominance over something, or have control over a situation, or have power in a situation that they didn't have power in previously. This kind of leads into McDonald's triad, which is basically something that came out in 1963 by Dr. J.M. McDonald. And it's this triangle, and I'll have like a little picture of it. It's a triangle that is of the three like commonalities found in serial killers. When this article was published, and why it was later debunked in a sense, was that it said that these were the causes of serial killers, and that anyone who displayed these symptoms would become violent later in life. But it was determined later that it is not the cause of the violence. It's just like sometimes these are symptoms exhibited by people who might become violent later. The cause is the abuse in childhood. But basically these three things are animal abuse, arson, and latent bedwetting. Then that really isn't more like on the control side of things. That's just like kind of just a symptom. But the two others, arson and animal abuse, are direct results of like a control issue. So basically the child feels powerless in the cycle of abuse, and they feel like they don't have control of the situation. They can't stop the abuse. They are just stuck in the situation. So they take it out on smaller animals that they can, manipulate how they will, whether violently, whatever. Or they start fires because they can, they have control over the situation of what they're burning down, whether it be a building, a structure, or an object. Like they just start burning things. Most serial killers have these things in common when you look back at their childhood, but not all children who go through this become serial killers. Does that make sense? It's kind of the same thing as the difference between sociopaths and psychopaths. Sociopaths are people who cannot feel empathy. They are literally just like the way they're made up. They just don't know what empathy is. They can't feel empathy. There's something in their genetic makeup that stops them from being able to understand, or even though they understand it, they can't feel it. Not all sociopaths become serial killers, but a lot of serial killers are sociopaths. Make sense? Psychopaths. It's different from sociopaths because psychopaths, they might be able to feel empathy, most of the time not, but they are acting violently due to a psychiatric disorder. There's a mental illness that is causing the violent behavior. So not all sociopaths are psychopaths, but most psychopaths are sociopaths. But both of them are kind of under the umbrella of antisocial personality disorder, which can manifest in violent behavior as well as just like moderately just like antisocial attitudes. So basically you just like don't really give a shit about anyone else, but you're not violent towards them. So like there's a whole like spectrum within it. So if you've been diagnosed as a sociopath, you may or may not become violent. It's really just like not what you decide to do, I guess. Well, sort of, but like basically like just because for example, if you think that someone in your life is a sociopath, there's no guarantee that they're gonna end up being a serial killer or be violent at all. They just like might just lack empathy in situations. They might be a little bit of a dick, but it's not entirely their fault. So yeah, the abuse is a big factor in why serial killers come to be. Also, lately they found that serious head injuries as children can cause changes in personality, changes in impulse control, changes in behavior, and basically depending on the part of the brain, which there are multiple parts of the brain. I have a picture right here that should show you everything. Hopefully it's right here. If not, who knows? But basically, there are various parts of the brain where like different lesions, different brain tumors, different head injuries, different instances that affect the brain can change a person's personality, can change their decision making, can change their impulse control, can change their whether or not they feel empathy. It's just very tricky. Like the brain is insanely complex. Like other types of serial killers are team killers, so people who kill in pairs or in groups. Typically this is led by a dominant personality who just would like company when they're killing, I guess. Like I think the manipulation of the other person also goes into it. And then there's the submissive personality who kind of goes along with it. They are both equally as dangerous. However, the dominant one is the one who was like gonna kill regardless. The submissive personality may or may not have turned out to be violent in any way, but they did have the potential and could be easily led to do so. One of my favorite examples is Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka. If you listen to any true crime podcast ever, these two are covered because it's such a weird and fascinating case. And like basically Paul is like super abusive, and Karla is clearly like not the most mentally healthy person and is very young, so she's easily swayed by Paul and she's in love with him. She wants to do whatever makes him happy. And so basically, if you've heard the story, you're familiar with that, they took her sister and drugged her and raped her, and it was this horrific thing. And then they drugged her so much the second time that like she ended up dying, and they were like, oh shit, she's dead. And then like they were just like, it's fine. It's like this whole sick and twisted thing. So I know Wine and Crime covers it. I know My Favorite Murder covers it at some point, but just look at their names and I'll probably do a video on them because it's just like such a twisted case. But yeah, that's one of like the biggest examples. They're often male-female kind of situations, but there are definitely situations where it's a male on male or female on female, like coercing the other person to participate in the murder. I kind of went over like the differences between psychopath and sociopath, but other kind of like definitions of words that you see come up a lot in cases that I know some people don't use correctly or they kind of just don't really understand the term. So I wanted to kind of like address those like later on. Those would be kind of understood. Pathological is stemming from either mental or physical disease. So basically like being a pathological liar or a murder being pathological, or the actions of a murderer being pathological are ingrained in their mental illness or caused by an illness through abuse or through mental illness or something. Like basically that is why they are doing these things. A egoist is a self-centered person. Most serial killers are egotistical. They want recognition. They want praise for what they're doing, and that's why a lot of them, like the Zodiac killer, for example, he would call in and be like, I did this, I'm the Zodiac. And all the media being like, oh my gosh. That was his form of like recognition, and that feeds kind of the need to be powerful. And that's also why the killing is serial, because they need a consistent like source of power. And then last thing is trophies. Basically it's typical of serial killers to keep trophies of their killings or attacks or anything. They'll take either a physical item on the person or in the crime scene that has to do with the killing and that reminds them of the killing, or they'll take even a body part. Or cannibals, that is the way their trophy manifests, is that they will eat their victim. So yeah, that's basically kind of a spiel of the basics of serial killers. I wanted to go into serial killers first, mostly because they hold the most of my interest. Like other facets of true crime are still very interesting, but let's be honest, like serial killers are probably the most popular in terms of like what people are into. Call me, I guess, a basic bitch of true crime, if you will. But I'm going to be covering a lot of serial killers first, mostly because, where's my book? Yeah, this book holds like a literal list of all these serial killers. And not even just in the US. There are, let me see if I can find the table of contents, because do I know how to read? Yeah, there's serial killers from Australia, Canada, Colombia, England, France, Germany, Hungary, Indonesia, Japan, Norway, Poland, Russia, and South Africa. So this is a really cool book, and I'm going to be using this a lot. Do you want to see it? It's this one. I'll put the title below. I will also put in every video that I do. I do a lot of my research online, clearly, because it's on my computer. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I go through a lot of articles. I know in school they tell you Wikipedia is wrong, but like if I want a general gist of something and I want to take that and go to other reliable sources, I will use Wikipedia. So if you see that listed, sorry about it. But yeah, I have a bunch of links here just within this like kind of general spiel of serial killing, of different things that if you want to look at it, go ahead. If you find anything interesting that you think I should go in and read, definitely send me those in the comments. Right now, hopefully this video wasn't too rambly. I know the lighting and kind of the whole setup isn't the best, but I will be improving that just because I'm home right now for the holidays and I will be back at my apartment soon. And that will probably be more of an official setup just because I'll be doing most of my filming there over the next semester. Yeah, so if you want to subscribe to this channel, that'd be great. I know a whole bunch of like people say turn on notifications. If you want to do that, cool. But yeah, if you're interested in true crime, this is the place to be. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye!